Hi, everyone. Hello, and welcome. We're going to be talking about Provincial Nominee Program today, and I'm so excited to talk about it. Mhm. Hi, May Moses 2013. How are you doing? Thank you for joining in. Please tell me about yourself. Where are you joining me from? While we wait for everyone else to join today, please let me know where you're joining from. Hi. Hi. Let me know where you're joining from. Name was this. Where's everyone? Please say hello and let me know where you're joining from in the caption. Today, we're going to be talking about the Provincial Nominee Program and how to use it as a pathway to move to Nigeria. Thank you, Anu Oluwa Osh- Anu Oluwa for Oshikoya. 9923, welcome. Hello from Nigeria. Hi, Anu. Where in Nigeria do you live? Thank you for joining. Hi, Eric Olakanye from Lagos, Nigeria. May Moses from the UK. How are you all doing? How's your day going? Today we're going to be talking about Provincial Nominee Program. So I want you to just tell me what you know so far about the Provincial Nominee Program. Now, Provincial Nominee Program, to be very honest, is very detailed because in Canada we have 10 provinces and then we have 3 territories. So 10 provinces plus 3 territories. I have 2 systems beside me. So sometimes I'll be looking at my right, sometimes I'll be looking at my left, but it's because I have to give you accurate information in this discussion. Now, the Provincial Nominee Program from Lagos, Nigeria. Okay, I know. Nice to know. Now, the Provincial Nominee Program is obviously tailored to each province. So you will want to understand what each province is looking for. And I'm going to give you an analogy to explain what the provincial nominee program is generally about. And then we'll learn about the specifics as in what each province is looking for. Because it's important to know that so that you can know where to tailor your experience or know where to be targeting in terms of whether you're making moves to move to Canada as a temporary resident or any of that, right? So that's part of all we are going to be talking about today. So, welcome everyone. And before we dive even further into this conversation, I want you to just comment in the caption and tell me what province or what have you heard about provinces in Canada? What province in Canada have you heard anything about? What province in Canada are you interested in living? So please let me know in the caption, in the comments. I'd like to hear from you. I just want to know what ideas you have about Canadian provinces so that I can start from there. And, if something is not true, I can let you know. And what exactly do you think about the provincial nominee program? What is your understanding about it? I have a comment from May Moses. Um, I know that New Brunswick, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan do this mostly. Okay. If you have family or friends in these places, one may get more points. Okay. May Moses, that is correct, actually. In a way, it's correct. So with Manitoba is the only one that you've mentioned where you can have a friend and that friend connection can help you with getting a provincial nomination. But for the rest of them, and to be honest, it's every other province and territory, they are more focused on people who have family. And I'll be explaining why as we go on. So anyone else, just let me know if you've heard about any provinces, what you've heard about the provinces, and you know, which province in Canada you are most interested in and why, actually. So please let me know in the comments below. And while I'm waiting for your comments, I'm just going to dive right into it because, like I always say, I never want this conversation to last longer than 1 hour. I don't want it to be too long. Thank you, Judgment Day in Day. So, yeah, Winnipeg. Winnipeg is actually a city in Manitoba. Winnipeg is a city in Manitoba. So Manitoba is a province. Winnipeg is a city in Manitoba. And Winnipeg is somewhere that we lovingly call Winterpeg, as in, is really cold. So that's why it's called that's why it's called Winterpeg. So yeah, Winnipeg. Thank you for sharing that. So if no one is going to go deeper to tell me what they've heard about Canadian provinces, well, you're here, so you have all the time to tell me about it. But in the absence of that, I'm going to go directly into the presentation, and I'm going to just say that um, like I explained when we started, I'm just going to repeat it and tell you guys that because we're talking about so many provinces, I'm going to be looking at my screens. I have a screen to the left, I have a screen to the right. So I'm going to be looking at my screens. Um, okay, your friend lives in Winnipeg. Okay, thank you for sharing, right? So I'm going to be looking at both screens. So don't assume that I'm not having a conversation with you. I have a presentation already put together for today. And I want to be looking at my screens just to make sure that we are on track and I'm giving you the most important information for today. Hi, Joy Ogunkoya. Thank you for joining. Thank you for joining. And thank you to everybody, to be honest, because you guys waited 3 weeks for this conversation. And it was really, really tough for me. But today I told myself, you know what? I'm not going to postpone it again. We're going to have this conversation today. And that's because next week I have two major guests coming to talk to you. If you're in healthcare, if you're a doctor, I have one coming. If you're a nurse, I have one coming. So I have all of that coming, and I thought, let's do this one because we already had this one scheduled all along. I've heard that white collar jobs are hard to get in most provinces. Hmm. That's interesting. I think one of the things I want you to leave this conversation with today is to find out that it depends on what you do, right? And it's just important to know. So, for example, I feel like most of the people who have come in have said that they're from Nigeria. So, I'm going to give you a Nigerian specific um, example, right? We are all, let's assume we are all we're all foreigners, we're Canadians, and Nigeria is this hot country that everyone wants to move to. The weather is great, the food is great, everybody wants to go there. And they feel like since they're there, when they get there, they can get permanent residents and become Nigerian citizens. But because we all know how Nigeria is, they can ask you, so as I'm moving to Nigeria, where will I move? The fact is, and we all know this, if somebody wants to be a civil servant in Nigeria, as much as Lagos is good, somebody who wants to work for the government may be better off going to Abuja. Somebody who wants to work for the government may be better off even going to Cross River State. I want you to use that to put that in perspective when you think about Canada, and you think about provinces, and you think about trying to find specific jobs. It's very helpful to put that in perspective. Somebody who wants to do business and really wants to get, the best supplies, be able to ship and do everything easily, they might find that Lagos may be a better place for them to go to. Now, somebody who wants to farm, who doesn't want to spend too much on their farmland, but they want to have a lot of farmland, they might find that Southwest Nigeria may be a good place for them. Southeast Nigeria may be a good place for them. Even the North may be a good place for them. Somebody who wants to be a cattle header might be better off going to the north. The point is that for each occupation, there are specific places that will be better for you. And it changes every year, or it changes in most cases every 3 years. It doesn't change majorly in 1 year, but every 3 years, the balance kind of changes because more people are coming. So then they have other needs coming up. So it's important to be familiar with the statistics. And we have a lot of websites, especially Job Bank, that gives those detailed statistics for each 3 year period. So if you go on Job Bank today, and you check it, you will see the statistics for the current 3 year period. So I know Oluwapo said I've heard about Alberta, but I don't know about their nominations. Yeah. Alberta. Okay. Uh, what of dental assistants? Not particularly this time, but I think that you should join in the other sessions because it will be really helpful. And I'll be looking out for a dental assistant professional who can now come and speak to you on how to transition into the occupation in Canada. But this time it's going to be doctors on Friday and nurses on Sunday. I learned most of the provinces require a job offer in order to register an expression of interest. Yes. Um, We'll be talking about that as well. Yeah, Meng. Where is best for supply chain professionals? Okay, we'll talk about that as well. So I want to dive into today's conversation. And I think one of the things that would be good to start with would be to tell you this. Because there was an update that just happened very recently. And that update was a regulatory change. That is a big change in terms of processing for provincial nominee programs. Basically, that update has now said that even when a province has nominated you, hmm, normally the process is you apply to a province, so you put in an expression of interest, or the province reaches out to you with a notification of interest. And when they reach out to you, so like I said, let's start from the beginning. Let me give you an analogy. Canada, picture it like Nigeria. Instead of all the states that we have, so we have 36 states and the capital. In Canada, we have 10 provinces and 3 territories. Now, if you picture it like Nigeria, when people say they want to come to Nigeria, you'll find that in most cases, if somebody is a foreigner coming to Nigeria, they are most likely going to go to Lagos or Abuja or Port Harcourt, except they have someone very specific in all the other states where they are going to be with the person. But if they're coming for economic gain, most of them will go to those 3 places because most people just consider those places the main places where a lot of things happen. So it's very similar to the situation in Canada where if most people, when most people want to come to Canada, they choose to go to Alberta, Ontario, uh, British Columbia. So those are the 3 top provinces, and to a large extent, Quebec. I think the reason why Quebec is not, although it is one of the top places people go, one of the reasons we don't mention it is because Quebec's program is a separate program from the general federal program, which is, for example, the Express Entry program or any of the federal programs. Quebec has its own programs and chooses its own people, its own process. So for immigrants, except you have completed the immigration process, most immigrants will not choose Quebec as a first place to go because it is right there on Canada's website. You cannot just choose to go to Quebec. Quebec will choose you. So it's there, right? So now, I hope that so far you understand the analogy that I'm giving you. Like people choose to come to Canada, most of them will go to those top 3 places. And for that reason, you'll find that the other places don't have as many immigrants coming. But in Canada, we have 2 core reasons why immigration is important. The first one is that there's an aging population. Because of the aging population, it means that many of the professionals are aging and retiring out of their professions. So we're not able to um, replenish the people retiring at an equal rate. And the reason for this is reason 2, which is that the birth rate is not as high as it used to be or as high compared to other places. So where other places in the world, e.g., Nigeria, each parent is still having 3 children, 2 children, 4 children. In Canada, most people are having 1 child or sometimes 2 children. So all those things kind of impact on the ability to have professionals who are equally preparing and entering the workplace, right? Again, there's a lot of land in Canada. It's very, very sparse. So because of that, again, we need people who can come in as economic immigrants to help to continue to grow the economy. What does it mean to come in as an economic immigrant? It means you are coming in highly skilled and ready to contribute to the economy through working and paying your taxes. That's essentially what it means to be an economic immigrant. So please let me know if you understand what I've said so far concerning the provincial nominee program and the analogy. So the reason why the provincial nominee program exists is because Canada knows people want to come to Canada, but there are people who want to come and may not qualify under the federal programs to come to Canada. For those people, we have a provincial nominee program where if you agree, you must agree, that's the key thing. If you agree to go stay in a province, another province, a province that nominates you, so it might not be one of the popular ones, or it might even be one of the popular ones, but you agree to go and stay in the province that nominates you and contribute to the economy. So you take a job there, you start a business there, and you pay your taxes there. In Canada, you find out that we have federal tax and we have provincial tax. So we are taxed on 2 levels. So the province wants you to come and pay tax, my dear. And if you make that decision that you are coming, then provinces will usually support you with a provincial nomination. When a province gives you a provincial nomination, there are two things you can do with it. In some cases, you can use it to add to your express entry profile. So if you have an express entry profile and the province gives you provincial nomination, you will get an additional 600 points, which you can then use, add to your profile, and automatically it will boost you. By the time there's the next provincial nominee draw, in most cases, you will receive an IT. So that's one way you can use provincial nomination to apply through the Express Entry program for permanent residency in Canada. The second way is a base PNP program. That is, you apply on the provincial level, and then once it is approved, you apply direct to IRCC, not through express entry, just direct to IRCC for permanent residency in Canada. So there are two ways. There've always been two ways that you can apply for permanent residence through provincial nomination. I'm hoping that we all understand so far. And if we don't, please let me know. Just ask whatever questions you have in the comments. But if we all understand, then I'm not going to tell you the thing that has changed. So the thing that has changed is the thing that I want everybody to understand. And for clarity, previously and up until today, when a province gives you that nomination, you're still going to go to the federal government. It's the federal government that approves everybody who will become a permanent resident in Canada. You cannot enter Canada without the approval of the federal government. So even when you receive a provincial nomination, you still have to apply to the Canadian federal government to approve you to come to Canada. And that's because the federal government has their own powers. They have um, they have the powers to request certain documents from you, right? They will be able to check you against federal needs, check that you meet all the requirements. Now, while the federal government is checking your general ability to settle in Canada, they would no longer have the power to determine whether you want to live in the province. So before now, there are two things that happen. The provincial government, when the provincial government is making their decision on whether to give you their provincial nomination, they check two things. One, will this person truly live in our province? That's why we talk about things like having family, because the province looks at those things as things that determine whether somebody can choose to live in their province. So the province, in the giving their provincial nomination, will check, is this person likely to actually come here? And how do they analyze that? Compared to any other place in Canada, if the person has family in our province, then chances are if someone is moving to a new country, they don't know anybody, but they have a sister, they have a brother, they have a cousin that lives in my province, there's a higher chance they will come to my province than that they will go somewhere else. Hello, Lacey. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're talking about PNP programs. So, yeah, you have a family member, there's a higher chance you'll come to their province, correct? So, that's one. Two, you have studied in their province before. Of course, if you've studied before, you've built a network there. So, there's a higher chance that you would want to continue to stay there. So, that's two. Number three, you have worked there before. Someone who's worked there before has a professional network as well. So there's a higher chance they will want to continue to stay there and work there, right? So that's three. And four, in the extreme case of Manitoba, it's only in Manitoba. Please don't think it's general. If you have a friend there, that also counts. Someone who has a friend has a high chance of coming to stay there. And the final one is somebody who has an occupation that is in high demand in the province. So, like I said when I was explaining, that sometimes if somebody wants to do cattle rearing, as an example in Nigeria, you most likely want to go and do it in the north because that's where they have land where you can have your ranch, where there's enough grass for grazing, right? So most likely you want to go there and go and do it. And that's the same thing. The province would consider that somebody who has an occupation in high demand will most likely want to come there because they know that it will be easier for them to get jobs. Does that help? So I've explained now all the things that the province considers to determine whether the person will reside in their province. Of course, there are other things. There are certain things you will do that will indicate to the province truly you want to come and reside in their province. So, for example, for almost every profession, if it is a regulated profession, we have specific steps you need to take to be able to work in that province. Someone who has gone out of their way to take those steps for that particular province has done something to indicate to the province that this is where I want to live, because it costs money. And when you're doing those processes, you can't do them Canada wide. As an example, for me as a lawyer, if I want to be called to bar, I will need to choose where in Canada do I want to be called to bar. If I choose to be called to bar in Ontario, I'm an Ontario lawyer. I'm not a lawyer in Alberta. I'm not a lawyer. I mean, I'm a lawyer Canada wide, but my practice would be in Ontario. So I will not be able to just start working anywhere in Canada. Now, I've received a very good question from Yahweh Meng. Please pardon me if I haven't answered your question well. And that question is, what is the best way forward for those of us who have no connection to any of the provinces? It's a great question. And I want you to be mindful of the fact that when I talked about all these things, there was one thing I didn't miss out on. That one thing was the final one I said. I said, if you have an occupation in high demand in the province, and if you do, it would matter that you create an express entry profile. Even if you are not able to create an expression of interest with the province because there's no connection to the province, or you don't have a job offer. A job offer is another thing that can help you to create a profile with the province. A job offer or current studies in the province. You don't have any of this. If you have an occupation that is in high demand in the province, you can create an express entry profile. When you create it, indicate interest in that province. If you meet their requirements, provinces are generally constantly checking. They still go into the express entry pool and they invite people. So you will have a chance with doing that one so that you don't rule it out. So do not close the door on express entry. That will be now your opportunity to be able to be seen by provinces and most likely to be able to land a provincial nomination. I hope that answers your question, Yawo. And if you hold on, I'm now going to walk you through all the uh, provinces, as well as the occupations that they are actually inviting so far in 2026. So that's why I said I have prepared that. That's what is my presentation, so that you'll be able to understand that. And that kind of gives you an idea the ones to be looking out for, because those are the ones who are looking for people with your occupation. Okay, so let me know if anyone has any questions so far. I want to believe that everything I've said is clear. I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. I'm not trying to make it complex so that everybody here would understand what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so now it is the province that determines um, your, as they should have from the beginning, whether you truly intend to live in their province. They will be the ones to determine it, and whether you can economically establish yourself in Canada. If we are choosing you, we should be able to determine that you would be able to settle in our province. Chidima Obiese, if you have a brother, hi Chidima, if you have a brother in Manitoba and not on express entry, how do I go about it? If you have a brother in Manitoba, having that brother is not going to be enough on its own if you don't have an occupation that is in high demand for Manitoba. So these are some of the things that you need to understand. Provincial nomination is not as easy as it used to be before, where just that family connection by itself can help you. And then it was because it was a skill thing. It didn't matter what the skill is, it was a points thing. Each province was just nominating based on who has the highest points. And in most cases, if all of us have different occupations, somebody who has a family member would tend to have higher points because they get additional points for that. So if we have all of us the same age, all of us the same level of education, the same language, every other thing, then somebody who has that advantage of having a family member will definitely have higher points. So most times they were the ones getting the invitations. But now it's not just general occupations, right? Provinces are focusing more on occupations in high demand. So even though you do have a sibling, in most cases, it will not be enough by itself to land that nomination. So I'm now going to run through the provinces to let you know who is in high demand, and then I will answer your questions if you do have any questions. The key thing for you to know is that now, no, provinces are going to be more, they'll scrutinize a lot more, because what we are finding is a lot of people apply, they come in, they get provincial nomination, and they don't go and stay in the province. So provinces are scrutinizing more because provincial nomination slots are getting lower by the federal government. So provinces are more particular about nominating people that they know will actually come and stay in their province. They are not just giving nominations to anybody. Okay. And province picked me from the pool even without expressing my interest to them. Yes, precious, that's what I just explained, right? A province can pick you. That's why we always say no matter what, just have an express entry profile. As long as you've passed your English, you have a credential evaluation, create a profile. Because provinces go there to look for people who have occupations in high demand. So that is the secret. If, if your occupation is considered in high demand by a province, then they can nominate you. I hope you don't mind. I sent out the links for my people in Nigeria to join. Of course, this is an open conversation, so everyone is welcome to join. Thank you for sharing, Joy. I appreciate that. And everyone, please feel free to share the link. It's an open conversation just to help people. All right. So I'm going on, right? And I want to now walk you through each province and what they are nominating as we round up the session, and then I will answer your questions. So province by province breakdown. I have a question from Bilikisu Danjuma. Please, may I have uh, an EE profile, express entry profile already, okay? And I submitted an expression of interest for Manitoba. I have a sibling there with an occupation in demand, but I haven't received any invitation yet. What could be wrong? So there's no way to know what's wrong without looking at that profile personally. But there's no way to know what's wrong. You have to look at what the draws are happening. What draws are happening? Do I meet the cutoff? If I've met the cutoff, have I met the cutoff for each draw? And in each draw, are they inviting my own occupation right now? Those are the things that matter, right? But I will say, hang in there, okay? At least you meet a number of those things. And if there's things that you can do, I'll also recommend scheduling a consultation so we can see if there are other things you can do to improve your own candidacy and increase your chances of getting it. All right. So Ontario, let's start with Ontario. Ontario is everybody's favorite. And Ontario, to be honest, in 2026 has been one of the most active provinces when it comes to nominating people. Ontario is not playing. Now, who is Ontario targeting? Ontario is targeting healthcare workers. So physicians, doctors. They've done draws for physicians this year, nurses, nurse practitioners, licensed practical nurses, nurse aides, nursing coordinators. Ontario is targeting all of them. So if you do have an express entry profile, you're looking for Ontario, you can also, indicate that in your express entry profile. Now, a lot of the time in 2026, they have been targeting majorly people who have job offers in Ontario, but they've also done specific draws. So, for example, they've targeted physicians this year, right? Ontario has targeted physicians. They've done a special targeted draw specifically for doctors. And that particular draw had a requirement of 43 and above in the express entry in the Ontario OIMP pool. Ontario currently is really looking for physicians, especially family doctors, because a lot of Ontario residents do not have family doctors. So it's really important to them to bring them in. So healthcare, if you are in the healthcare field, Ontario is your place currently. It's urgent for them. So they are really looking for an Ontario is the largest province. They are very, very active about it. They're also looking at for people who are francophone speakers, so francophone candidates who have CLB 5 or higher. So when we say that French is a huge advantage, it's not a small advantage. It could also help you with landing a provincial nomination, in addition to all the other things that we've talked about for for coming to Canada as a French speaker. So if you've not heard any of that, catch up on my previous live videos on French and how you can learn French for Canadian immigration. So that is also a thing. Um, is there no age limit for this? Generally speaking, once you approach the age of 46, you would have lower points because you lose all points for age. Is there an age limit? When it comes to provincial nomination, most provinces are open to 55, but it would be a lot tougher for you the older you get, is the truth. Okay. So for Ontario, again, we also have early childhood educators and assistants, and then we have mining sector workers. So mining sector workers, it seems very broad. It's actually very broad. So we're talking about even engineers, they fall under that. You would want to check what those occupations are. And I think sometime during this week, I will share with you those details. I will go into each province and break it down. So you will get those lists for me on Instagram, okay? On Instagram or Facebook, if you're following me on any of those platforms, you can look out for it. I would have those lists shared during the week. But for right now, mining sector workers, early education, early childhood educators and assistants, physicians, and healthcare workers, particularly the nurses, Ontario is really looking out for you, especially for those with a job offer. So, yeah, that's that with that. Keep in mind that Ontario is also doing major changes to the OIMP program, and any day from now, they would announce that. But the key thing to know is if you want to qualify for Ontario, in most cases, you will need a job offer. With a job offer, you would be able to create a profile, and then just maintain an active profile in the OIMP filing portal. So that's it. And again, if you're already in Canada, you need to continue to have a valid work permit or a valid study permit to apply. And that's that with Ontario. The next province we're going to be talking about is my favorite province, Alberta, my province. Um, Alberta has an allocation of 6,403 for this year. It's also the second most active PNP in Canada when it comes to nominations that have been going out. In March alone, Alberta invited 1,700 candidates across multiple draws. So, who is Alberta targeting? Alberta is applying, inviting people under the express entry stream. They're targeting candidates who are already in the express entry pool. Alberta is also targeting under the Alberta opportunity stream. They are targeting temporary foreign workers who are already working in Alberta. So they're targeting those people. They are also targeting rural renewal stream applicants. So people who work in communities outside major urban centers in Alberta. And keep this in mind. Some of these communities include Jasper, Red Deer. These are not so small communities, but they qualify for this. So under the rural renewal stream, and then law enforcement pathway, they're inviting people under that as well as the accelerated tech pathway for tech sector workers. So those are the people Alberta is targeting. If you're in tech, you have a connection to Alberta. Remember, for the accelerated tech pathway, you unfortunately do need a job offer. Okay, so for Alberta, and that is that with Alberta. Just something to keep in mind as at April 7th, 2026, Alberta introduced a $135 fee if you want to create a worker expression of interest to the Alberta Advantage Immigration Program. You will now need to pay a fee to do an expression of interest to Alberta. And now, moving on swiftly, I'm moving on to BC. Guys, I wouldn't be answering the questions anymore. I want to run through and then we'll now take questions because I want us to be done within the hour. All right. British Columbia. Now they have had an allocation for 2026 of 5,254 nominations. For BC has consistently and continues to target the following people: construction workers, childcare, so early childhood educators and assistants, and healthcare workers. And of course, they also have a dedicated tech pilot and are inviting tech workers. Then people who have job offers outside of Metro Vancouver. You're not living in Vancouver, you're living in more rural communities in British Columbia. They're inviting them as well. As long as you're willing to live and work outside of Vancouver, then your odds will improve significantly. So if you're looking for jobs in Canada, also keep that in mind. In most cases, you are better off finding jobs outside of the major cities. Okay. Now, BC also, for their skilled immigration application fee, they've increased it from 1,475 up to 1,750. So important to keep that in mind. And that's that for BC. All right, let's move to the next province, and that would be Manitoba. I know a lot of people have asked questions about Manitoba today. Manitoba has an allocation of 6,239 for 2026. Now, Manitoba has been inviting profiles who are express entry linked, as well as other profiles through strategic recruitment initiatives. So, those are the people they've been targeting. Now, they are targeting people to move to francophone communities. Those are the majority, right? Manitoba prioritizes ties to Manitoba. So they consistently invite people who have community supporters. If you have a close relative who is living in Manitoba, that's one of the things. Then if you have a job offer in Manitoba, but you are currently a temporary foreign worker in Manitoba. Those are some of the things that Manitoba is prioritizing. For Saskatchewan, Saskatchewan has an allocation of 4,761 for 2026. Their priority sectors are healthcare, agriculture, skilled trades, mining, manufacturing, energy, and technology. Those are the people that are being targeted from Manitoba. And they have said that in 2026, 2,381 out of their 4,761 spots will go to these sectors. So the healthcare, agriculture, skilled trades, mining, manufacturing, energy, technology. Those are the people they will be nominating. They've also set out 1,190 spots for accommodation and food services sector, trucking, and retail trade. Finally, they have 750 spots that are specifically for Saskatchewan post-secondary graduates who are working in priority sectors. Now, of all the provinces I have mentioned today, that is one province that is actively looking to transition people who are coming to study in their province into permanent residence in their province. So if you are sitting in this conversation and one of the things you're thinking about is coming to be a temporary resident in Canada, it's very important that you look at these provinces that are doing something special for people who want to come and study in their province. So keep in mind, Saskatchewan is one of them. If you need help with processing school admissions or study permit, any of that, you can definitely reach out to me. But it's important that you keep this in mind because, again, if you're coming to Canada and you're spending all that money to become a temporary resident, you want to make sure you are doing it in a strategic way and going to a place that can help you transition from that temporary residence into permanent residence. So, yeah, that's that for Saskatchewan. Okay. And that's a general overview for Saskatchewan. I'm moving on to Nova Scotia, under the Nova Scotia PNP. Okay. As at now, Nova Scotia has said that they are they are experiencing chronic labor shortages in healthcare, skilled trades, and seasonal industries. So when we talk about seasonal industries, it often refers to agriculture and then um, sectors related to tourism, so accommodation, food services. But as at April 18th this year, Nova Scotia has also said that they have received a very huge number of applications for the accommodation and food services sector. And usually that means that they're going to slow down dealing with applications for that sector just because there's so many already. Okay. So Nova Scotia is telling us that they are setting up a new expression of interest system. So I'll give you an update when that happens, but it is coming up. It's going to be happening soon, and that's that. With that, later, like I said, I will respond to the comments once I've run through all the provinces. The next one is New Brunswick. Okay, and for New Brunswick, um, obviously it's a very small province. Even though they are active with their draws, they are a very small province and they are one of the provinces where, in fact, New Brunswick is the only province that is bilingual in Canada, officially bilingual. So they target francophone speakers. So if you are French speaking, New Brunswick has been known to reach out to people through express entry and through other priorities, targeting francophone speakers. So if you're French speaking and you're creating an express entry profile, it may be what taking New Brunswick as the province you're most interested in. That's just to keep in mind when you're just starting the profile. I always advise later on to tick all provinces and territories, but at least at the beginning, when you have to pick one and you're French speaking, New Brunswick. Okay? Just a hint. Don't go and pick Quebec thinking I speak French. Quebec is not going to. If you heard me, you heard me. If you didn't hear me, don't worry. And next one is Prince Edward Island. And we often don't talk a lot about Prince Edward Island, but Prince Edward Island has, for priority sectors, healthcare, manufacturing, and skilled trades. They also are targeting individuals who have job offers from local organizations and international graduates who are graduating from University of Prince Edward Island, Holland College, and College de Lille. Okay, so those are the things for Prince Edward Island. Prince Edward Island is one of the great provinces where you will already know ahead of time when their nominations are going to take place. For example, they're going to have a draw every month, right? And they've told you the specific date the draw will happen. The next draw is happening on May 21st, 2026 for Prince Edward Island. So yeah, that's that with Prince Edward Island. Next, we move to Newfoundland and Labrador. And Newfoundland and Labrador, that province also is focusing on people who are already there, right? Their priority sector is agriculture, and they continue to prioritize agriculture as well as healthcare. So those are the people who receive nominations from Newfoundland. They are also targeting international graduates who have studied in their province and are willing to be entrepreneurs and set up businesses. So for them, those are their top priorities, and those are the people that they are inviting. And that's that with that. Now, with the territories, to be honest, they usually have really small allocations. So that will not be something where I want to put in too much effort. Now, I want us to summarize a lot of what we've talked about today, and then I'll respond to questions. The first thing is if you're working in one of the priority sectors I've talked about, healthcare, tech, early childhood education, right? Or um, educators, this is a priority year for you, right? You're prioritized on the federal level, and many provinces are also prioritizing you. So this is the time to make sure if you don't have an express entry profile, go set one up and indicate the right provinces. Check it out. It's worth asking questions. It's worth scheduling a consultation if you're not sure. It's worth doing all of these things if you have experience in one of these things. Another one is if you have a job offer, if you have a genuine qualifying job offer from an employer in any of these target provinces, it largely increases your chances of getting a provincial nomination. A job offer automatically will qualify you for many things. So if you have experience, valuable experience, and you are able to network, don't miss out on the opportunity to just apply when the jobs come up because it could really, really help you a lot. Obviously, when there are recruitment fairs coming up, you want to make sure you attend. There are some coming up for New Brunswick later the year, I've expressed, especially for education and healthcare. Those jobs keep coming and the skilled trades as well. So make sure you sign up for them. If you're French speaking, the advantages are everywhere. Whether it's Ontario, New Brunswick, Manitoba, even in Alberta, there are many francophone targeted draws. Even Kelowna, BC, because it falls under um, the francophone community immigration programs, right? Immigration pilot. So there are many opportunities for you if you speak French. And if you don't speak French here, consider it. Go check out my video on how to learn French. Just watch that video and figure out, okay, how can I do it? What can I do to improve my chances for immigration to Canada? Can I consider French? I've talked about maybe we've talked about PNP and it looks like nothing is clicking for you in PNP or there's no connection for you. Then look at French. That's the one that everybody can do at least, right? So look at it. Now, um basically keep your ears to the ground. When it comes to immigration, who you listen to is important. Don't go and be listening to people who are out there telling you sharp practices. Come and apply for visa, come and do this one. There's no point and no real reason to spend all that money to go do something like that. Come and sit there in Canada with a visa. It's very expensive in Canada. It's not even worth it for you, right? And especially in most cases, when I find that people do this, you will find that if you speak with them, there would have been one pathway that they would have qualified for, and they didn't even do anything about that. All their focus was, let me just get to Canada. Canada is not the kind of place you would just get to and then figure it out after getting a visitor visa. In most cases, with a visitor visa, you don't qualify for many things and you can't apply for most things inside Canada. So please, that's just something important to keep in mind. I'm going to answer the questions now as we round up. I want to just say it again as a reminder that this week, I guess the week starts on Sunday. On Friday, we're going to be having a session exclusively for medical doctors, and it will share all the information you need to transition into being a medical doctor in Canada. I'm going to have a guest who has worked in this area. This is her main area. Um, Providing advice to medical doctors who are transitioning into their profession in Canada. And on Sunday, I'm going to be speaking with a nurse. Actually, she started out as an engineer. She moved to Canada as an engineer and transitioned into the nursing field. Today, she's a practicing nurse professional, and she's going to be speaking to us about that journey and how it can be possible for you. Just if you are not even a nurse but you want to go into healthcare, how can it happen? If you are already a nurse and you want to figure out, okay, what can I now do to start working as a nurse in Canada? That would be the right session for you. So there's one on Friday, there's one on Sunday. Please tell somebody if you know somebody who could benefit from it. And now I'll be answering the questions because I'll be ending this session in a few minutes. Please, if you're in the express entry with no good, not such a good score. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand you, but you don't have a good CRS score, but you're a physician. Is it easy to come by a provincial nomination? I would say do what you can to improve your CRS score. Do what you can to improve your CRS score. It's very important because this is the best year for you as a physician. You don't want to play with it. There's so much happening for physicians. Please don't play with it. Do what you can to improve your score and do it quickly. Precious Wachiko, what is the chance of getting a PNP with a CRS score of 429 as a nurse aid? I wouldn't just count on that, Precious. I will do what I can to improve my CRS score. And there's several things that we've talked about today. Do what you can. Go retake your English test if you need to. Go learn French if you need to. That experience you have is so valuable this year. I don't want you to just sit down in the pool and hope for a provincial nomination because it may happen, it may not happen. But there are other things you can do to improve your chances of being found by provinces. Okay, so I would do that and boost my score so that even on the federal level, I can still stand the chance of getting it. If you can boost your score by 40, and French is currently giving 50 if you do it well. You can boost your score by 40, you are already in that range to get an IT under healthcare. Most of them, 462, they are giving draws, 467, 468. So all you need to do is boost your score. I'll advise that that will be your focus, precious. Quadratola Quadrat Oladipo Quadrat Oladipupo Amu 7002. I hope I got that right. What is the chance? What is the chance for an express entry CRS score of 444 as a social and community worker? What problems will you advise to look into? Quadrat, your focus, because your occupation is in high demand even on the federal level, should be improving your CRS score. That should be your focus. Then the world is your oyster. That occupation is in high demand Canada wide. Are they provided with temporary housing and vehicle? Who do you mean? Do you mean accommodation and this thing? Seasonal workers in most cases, they make those offers, but a regular job, I would really be very wary if a regular job that is not caregiver job is offering you temporary housing and a vehicle. I'll be very wary. I'll be surprised that will happen. A vehicle, chances are very low, except you're an ambulance ambulance driver. Which vehicle are they giving you? Chances are very low. chances are very low for people. Temporary accommodation, yes, as a seasonal worker, if you're working in a hotel, those kind of things, it's possible. They do, like for example, in Banff, I know they used to give them temporary accommodation when they had their shifts ongoing. They will give them temporary accommodation for the season. So, for example, through summer, so that you don't come from your city, because many people will travel from their city and come work for the summer and then go back, students and all of that. So, yes, that is possible for seasonal work, but you can't use seasonal work for immigration purposes. So keep that in mind. For an applicant, seasonal work, so agriculture, um, uh, hotels, so tourism, those kind of jobs, they do give accommodation, some of them, but any other job that is not caregiving and they're giving you accommodation, that thing is just a scam that we see in other countries. People advertise those things. That scams. Oh, don't go and fall for it. For an applicant whose NOC is in public and environmental health, okay, please let me give a disclaimer. Sometimes even medical doctors can get accommodation. It's not outright accommodation. It's just the ability to sleep when they have shifts. And healthcare workers might also get that, a place to sleep when they have shifts, but it's not dedicated accommodation to you. So except those ones that go to rural areas. So sometimes they do offer them at least temporary accommodation while they are sorting things out. They would get that. Um, for an applicant whose NOC is in public and environmental health and safety professional, which province targets this skill? I'm not able to go personal for each person, otherwise this session is not going to end. Okay. You can check on Job Bank. You can also schedule a consultation and we can speak more specifically to things that would work for you. Which province or provinces will you say hire or prioritizes professional in HR and recruitment? The fact is, HR and recruitment is not one of those things that are in high demand. I wouldn't say any province targets it. HR is the knowledge is even very province specific. So that one is very tough. Usually they want you to have some kind of experience in Canada. So it will be tough for me to say somebody would hire you from outside Canada. But when you're in Canada with Canadian experience, almost everywhere you'll be able to land a job in HR or recruitment. For an applicant with supply chain consulting experience, what province? The same thing, no. Same thing. Same thing. Supply chain, maybe Alberta, Saskatchewan, those kind of places, yeah. I've had two consultations with you previously where you discussed some options, but I needed something that was fast. Now I'm more settled. I'll settle you on I'll message you on Instagram. Sure, you can. Uh, just to say, I'm sure even in consultations, I'll tell you, immigration is not about fast. It's about what is going to work for you. It's better to focus on what is going to actually work for you, tailored to you, that would work in the long term. It's not about those fast ones that you now end up coming to be stuck. If it's fast, everybody can always help you apply for a visitor visa. But ask people who came on visitor visas 2, 3 years down the road, they're still in the same spot. That's not what I like for my own clients or anybody I work with. So I try to be as honest as possible. I don't believe in fast. I believe in what would help you achieve the goal that you have. But yeah, you can reach out. I would like to book a consultation. Sure, the link is on YouTube, is on Instagram, is anywhere you can search me, okay? Tayo Makine. You can also send me an email, info@samoimmigration.com. Tayo, I have 459 CRS score. What are my chances as an educator? Um, Strong. Now, my advice, when it comes to education, usually we don't see more than 1 or 2 draws in express entry in a year. So if there's any way you can boost that score to make sure when the draw comes, you get an ITA, that will be my focus, okay? Udensi, please, can you share us a link where we can stay updated with provinces on the target my Instagram page? Now, come on. I I I don't play when it comes to updates, so I definitely will update you. All you need to do is go hit that follow button. Follow on YouTube as well. My Instagram is the most updated of all my social media, so check it out. Okay. Is financial services in high demand? Not really. Not really. Financial services, branch management, not really. Not really. When you come in, are you able to get a job? Yes, but are they looking for people from outside Canada? No, unfortunately, they're not really doing that. What province is good for teachers? Um, Even just speaking today, I mentioned the number of them. I don't know if you were not here earlier, but Ontario, BC, almost every province, to be honest, is looking for teachers, even Alberta, almost every province. So it's good for teachers, medical lab assistants, any healthcare province, Ontario, Alberta, and you're also in high demand on the federal level, so everywhere. Everyone, I want to thank you for joining in today. I hope that it helped you get a little bit of an understanding of the provincial nomination process. Like I said, this week I'll try my best to share more detailed occupation descriptions for each of these provinces and what they have been targeting in the year so far, so that you can also use that. So just look out for it. If you're not following, follow, turn on notifications. I'm going to try and work on that and share it to you this week. I'll also, in the weeks to come, share the other ones for um other programs, like the community programs, right? The Francophone Community Immigration Program, the Rural Community Immigration Program. So you'll get some of that in the coming weeks. And thank you all for joining in. Like I said, we're going to have specific programs for doctors on Friday, a specific one. I'll advertise it very soon. And another one for nurses on Sunday. So if you know anyone or you are one of them, a doctor or nurse, join us. We'll be speaking to professionals who have transitioned into it, who have the knowledge that you need. They will share it with you. And if you have any other specific things you want us to talk about, please send me an email. I'm always looking out to see professionals who can come speak to you, and I will find that. And thank you all for joining me today. And I'll see you this time next week. Bye. Thank you.